I want to start this off by saying I'm sorry about how my voice sounds in this video. I've been struck down by illness, so I'm a bit under the weather. But anyway, start this off by saying your mindset is what determines how you perceive the world. So to change the way you think, you need to change your mindset. How do you go about doing that? So first of all, really simple, I want to start you off by asking you to do a thought exercise. So I'll ask you, have you ever had a thought come into your head you didn't want to be there? That sounds a bit odd, but you know, if you're up at night, have you ever had something like maybe an embarrassing memory you didn't want to see? Or, you know, your brain plays like a movie of something like really grotesque that you absolutely didn't want to see. I want you to ask yourself now, where did that thought come from? Because the fact that you can perceive it as something that came into your head proves that you didn't make it. Case in point, you're not your thoughts. Your brain is a tool that you use to perceive the world. You're not your thoughts. This mindset is the groundwork that I use to change the way I think. So now that we've established the thoughts are not of you, you can begin to understand where it is they come from and how to face them. I know many of you, me included, probably suffer from symptoms of anxiety, whether that be in social situations or whatever. And these anxious episodes can feel overwhelming and come with many negative thoughts. Maybe you feel worse than all your friends or worry you look stupid. But if you disconnect for a moment and watch these thoughts run by, recognizing that 1, you don't want to see them, and 2, you didn't create them, and you can reasonably assume it's your brain messing you up, not the you that's viewing them. Your emotional states are driven by chemicals your brain releases, such as a spike in cortisol makes you feel stressed. Maybe you find ways to cope with that, but you still exist within the mind space. You have to change your mindset. You're a chemical factory with a mad ape in the centre pulling on levers. You aren't the ape, that's the brain in this analogy. You're the operator. This newfound seat of power gives you a lot of control over the workings of the factory. Once you recognise your body and mind are just as much of an animal as any other, that you're driven by chemical impulses, you, the sentient driver of the body, can change how you function. This doesn't just apply to happiness levels, but can also help to fix addictions, bad habits and anger issues, as you recognise that all of them are driven by simple brain chemistry, an animal trying to keep itself alive. You may be inhabiting that body, but you aren't driven by it, you're the driver. Enough rambling about all that though. How do you apply this to fix your dopamine levels? Well, you can start by fixing the car. You're sat in the driver's seat, but your body isn't given much of a rest. It needs maintenance. So you can start with diet, exercise and sleep. On a chemical level, good diet, that being low sugar, high protein, and decent calorie maintenance, without much processed stuff, fixes your brain. Even if you don't realise it, what you eat can really quickly change how you feel. Eating something you like releases endorphins, feel good chemicals. But eat too much junk and you feel lethargic. Don't put diesel in your petrol car, or vice versa. Put in the right stuff for you to run, and your car will give you the mileage you need. Even more important than that though is sleep. Good night's rest, that being no screens for a bit, no caffeine within 8 hours or so sleeping, and a solid 8 to 10 hours of kit. Totally fixes your brain and body. That's the time your brain takes to unpack the day's content, and you need that much time to go through all stages of sleep, like REM all the way to deep rest. It also fixes your body, keeps you prepped for the next day, and overall gives you a good restart. On a side note here, smoking weed isn't all that bad, but it does significantly reduce REM sleep, which can have some pretty bad effects, so maybe lay off it if you want to fix your dopamine. Kind of adjacent to sleep, but make sure you see the sun in the morning. Within seconds you'll notice if you wake up stressed and go open your blinds, it is, no pun intended, a night and day difference. It spikes your cortisol, which might seem bad because that's the stress hormone. It gives you a shot of energy to get ready in the morning and make sure your stress returns to baseline quickly. On to exercise. This is the cherry on top to really fix your brain. If you just do exercise but don't sleep well and eat junk, you won't get much out of it. But do it in conjunction and the benefits are massive. Context, I walk 90 minutes daily and hit the gym 4 times a week. Just doing that along with sleep and diet completely pulled me out of an episode of depression. And I go as far as to say my life has improved in every way since then. Another note I'd say is that using the mindset that you are not your brain, you could do mindfulness exercises. I'm not going to hit you with the woo-woo meditation spiritual stuff, but it does have proven effects. Picture like the monkey on the levers I used in an analogy earlier, and you, in the mind space, walk out the door and shut it. The monkey will try and scream and smear shit on the walls as you sit in silence. But focus on breathing, or parts of the body if you're doing a body scan meditation, and observe the mad thing you call your mind, and ignore it completely. Doing this really calms you down, reminds you that negative thoughts are quite primal and not really indicative of real life. And that you keep in mind that when you feel an addiction or a desire to do or act in a way that you don't want to, This comes from the mind, not from you. Lastly, for the guys watching this, you've got to stop doing it, man. It's quite funny. It's really awful for you, particularly if you're watching material while doing it. It's not only embarrassing, but it goes against all the stuff I established in this video. It makes you a worse person. You're essentially giving the mind it full control for a bit. This is why post-clarity is a thing. That's you returning to the mind after you gave the ape the wheel. Also, on a similar note, stop scrolling. You're shutting out you for a bit, sure, to let the mind have its fun. You may forget all the reels you watch, but your brain remembers. You're basically turning the room you inhabit your mind in into a hoarder's home. Boxes of rubbish stacked up high of all the reels you've watched that pop up when you actually try to find something useful. This isn't just scrolling, but anything that's quick dopamine or useless information. You're pretty much filling up your brain's wiring with a bunch of random junks when you actually need to think about something serious, so you're just getting random reels. Anyway, hope you found this useful or informative. Again, sorry that I sound like a rag mess. Yeah,